When I first wandered through the tree-lined avenues of Crestwood Hollow, I was struck by the seamless blend of sleek townhouses and sprawling emerald lawns. It was a suburban sanctuary, a quiet escape from the clamor of city life that instantly captivated me. My name is Elise Carver, and by trade, I'm a remote logistics manager for a sprawling tech conglomerate. My work demands constant connective VY tight-crisp VY Deo calls, rapid-fire emails, and the occasional late-night crisis management session. Crestwood's promise of reliable communal Wi-Fi, bundled into the modest HOA fees, was a godsend. I pictured serene days working from my sunlit home office, while VYing to friendly neighbors over picket fences and a homeowners association that kept the community humming without overstepping. What I didn't foresee was that one HOA member, a woman dubbed Marla, for her relentless meddling would plunge our peaceful enclave into chaos by severing our internet lifeline during a catastrophic storm, only to unravel a web of consequences she couldn't escape. Crestwood Hollow wasn't just a pretty facade. The neighborhood boasted a shimmering pool, a cozy clubhouse with overstuffed chairs, and winding trails that begged for evening strolls. The communal Wi-Fi was the crown Juilon innovative perk that spared us the hassle of indie VY dual plans. It delivered steady speeds across the complex, letting me hop from my desk to the patio without a glitch. For retirees like Mr. Hensley down the street, it was a fuss-free lifeline to the outside world. For me, it was the backbone of my career. I'd settled in with ease, unpacking my minimalist furniture and setting up a sleek workspace in the spare bedroom. The first few weeks were idyllic, birds chirping outside my window, the hum of a lawnmower in the distance, and the occasional nod from a neighbor walking their dog. Then I met Marla Henshaw. Her real name was Evelyn Henshaw, but Marla stuck among the residents, a whispered shorthand for her knack for turning molehills into mountains. She was a fixture on the HOA board, a wiry woman in her late 50s with a severe silver bob and a wardrobe of crisp blazers in muted tones. She carried herself with an air of authority, her sharp eyes scanning for infractions. My first encounter came days after I moved in. She appeared on my doorstep with a glossy Crestwood Hollow Community Guidelines booklet, her smile as tight as a drum. "We're a close-knit group here, MS. Carver," she said, her voice clipped. "I'm sure you'll fit right in if you respect our standards." Her gaze lingered on my front porch, as if measuring the potted fern for compliance. I nodded politely, brushing off the unease that prickled my spine. I had no idea how far she'd stretch those standards. For a while, life flowed smoothly. The Wi-Fi held strong, my work calls went off without a hitch, and I even started joining neighbors for coffee at the clubhouse. But Marla's presence loomed. She patrolled the streets like a self-appointed sheriff, clipboard in hand, jotting notes about overgrown shrubs or a bike left on a lawn. Whispers circulated how she'd once fined a family for a mailbox that was half an inch too tall, or forced a widower to dismantle a birdhouse she deemed gaudy. Most rolled their eyes and complied, figuring it wasn't worth the fight. I kept my head down, assuming she'd leave me alone if I stayed under a radar. That illusion shattered at the HOA's monthly meeting. Held in the clubhouse, it was my first glimpse of Marla in her element. She presided at the head of a folding table, her posture rigid, barking out new rules like a drill sergeant. She proposed slashing pool hours for kids, banning unsightly lawn decorations, and most bizarrely capping internet usage after 10 p.m. to preserve bandwidth. A murmur rippled through the room. Another board member, a soft-spoken woman named June Baxter, pointed out that the system was built for heavy traffic. "It's not a problem," June said, her tone measured. Marla's lips thinned. "Some people abuse it," she snapped, glaring at a young couple in the back who'd admitted to late-night gaming. The room bristled, but no one pushed back hard. Marla tabled the internet rule with a huff, clearly irked that her decree wasn't rubber-stamped. Afterward, I lingered, chatting with the couple Tom and Lila. They were in their 30s, easygoing, with a toddler who loved the pool. "She's threatened us twice over streaming," Lila confided, bouncing her son on her hip. "Said we're hogging the network. It's ridiculous the contract doesn't limit usage." I frowned, unease creeping in. She can't enforce that, can she? Tom shrugged. The board's too scared to cross her. But if she tries, we're not backing down. I reassured them it'd blow over, but a knot tightened in my gut. Marla's fixation on the Wi-Fi felt like a storm brewing, one I'd soon be caught in. Summer faded into September, and the air grew heavy with humidity. Weather alerts buzzed about a tropical storm churning in the Atlantic, its path uncertain but ominous. My brother, Julian, texted me updates. He wasn't just family, was the deputy director of the state's emergency management agency, a role that put him at the helm of crisis response. Keep an eye on this one, Elise, he warned. Could turn ugly fast. I nodded to my phone screen, refreshing news sites. Crestwood Hollow wasn't coastal, but we sat near flood-prone rivers. If the storm hit hard, we need real-time info evacuation orders, shelter updates, the works. The communal Wi-Fi suddenly felt less like a perk and more like a necessity. As the storm swelled into a potential hurricane, dubbed Lila by the meteorologists, tension gripped the neighborhood. Julian called, his voice taut. It's intensifying. We might declare a state of emergency by tomorrow. Make sure you're connected, I'll feed you updates. I tested the Wi-Fi solid. Neighbors huddled on porches, scrolling weather apps. Mr. Hensley, a widower in his 70s, knocked on my door, his brow creased. My phone's got no data plan, he said. That Wi-Fi's all I've got for alerts. I promised to keep him posted, my confidence buoyed by the network's reliability. Then Marla struck. The night before Lila's projected landfall, a group of teens piled into the clubhouse, laughing over a MOVY marathon. Their voices carried through the open windows loud, but hardly a crisis. Marla stormed in, heels clicking, and ordered them out. You're clogging the internet with your noise, she shrieked, as if decibels ate bandwidth. The kids shrugged her off, and she left in a fury, muttering about teaching them a lesson. I heard the story from Tom the next morning, just as the sky darkened and my laptop blinked. No internet connection. Panic rippled through Crestwood. Phones lit up with neighbors, texting Wi-Fi's down. You too? I rebooted my router, nothing. Outside, a crowd gathered near the clubhouse, now locked tight with a sign in Marla's precise script, closed for maintenance. No entry. Someone spotted her earlier, fiddling in the utility shed where the main router lived. My stomach dropped. June Baxter arrived, flustered. She wouldn't let me near its aid. She'd fix the bandwidth issue herself. The storm loomed closer, winds rattling the trees, and we were blind. I called Julian, my voice shaking. The HOA nutjob killed our Wi-Fi. We're cut off, and this storm's about to hit. He cursed under his breath. That's insane. I'll patch you updates, but the cell towers might overload soon. Stay sharp. I relayed what I could to the crowd, but half the phones had no signal or data. Mr. Hensley clutched his ancient flip phone, eyes wide. My daughter's in Raleigh. She won't know if I'm okay. The desperation was palpable. We pounded on a clubhouse door, shouted for Marla. Silence. Her house sat dark, vanished. Rain lashed the streets as Lila bore down. Julian's next call was grim. Partial evacuation recommended near the river. You're on the cusp, pack a bag, just in case. I raced door to door with June, spreading the word, but confusion reigned. Some neighbors loaded cars. Others hesitated, unsure without official alerts. The Wi-Fi's absence was a chokehold. Older residents like Mr. Hensley were stranded, guessing at their fate. Fury burned through me. Marla's petty tantrum had endangered us all. By midnight, the storm unleashed howling winds, sheets of rain, branches snapping like bones. Power flickered but held, a small mercy. I huddled with June and Tom, piecing together updates from Julian VY, a spotty Celsaire VYC. Flooding starting downstream, he said. If it shifts 2 miles west, you're in the zone. We relayed this face-to-face, a frantic game of telephone. At 3 a.m., a tree crashed across the street, and Mr. Hensley banged on my door, soaked and trembling. I can't reach anyone. I pulled him inside, promising we'd get through this. Dawn broke gray and sodden. Lila had veered just enough to spare us the worst flooded roads, downed limbs, but no mass evacuation. We dodged disaster by a hair. As the rain eased, outrage replaced fear. June found a spare clubhouse key, and we stormed in. The utility shed revealed Marla's handiwork. The router unplugged, cables sliced clean through. Not a tantrum-calculated attack. "She's a lunatic," June whispered, holding a severed wire. I snapped photos, my hands shaking with rage, and called Julian. She didn't just unplug, it trashed it. During a hurricane. His response was ice cold. "That's a felony. Send me everything. We'll bury her." The emergency HOA meeting was a powder keg. 50 residents crammed into the clubhouse, the mangled router on display like a murder weapon. Voices overlapped. "She could have killed us." "Where is she?" June took the floor, voice trembling. This wasn't sanctioned. She acted alone. Tom stood, red-faced. She threatened us over streaming, then did this when the kids ignored her. I laid out the stakes. Police reports, state charges, CIVYL suits. My brother's with emergency management. I admitted. He says this VYOLAT's laws protecting crisis comms. Eyes wide, and Marla had picked the wrong fight. She slunk back 2 days later, her SUV creeping in her driveway. A crowd materialized, shouting questions. She hauled a suitcase inside, ignoring us, but the police rolled up minutes later. "MS. Henshaw, we need to talk," an officer said, holding photos of the cables. Her face blanched. "It was just noise control," she sputtered. They escorted her away as she shot me a glare that could have melted steel. I met it unflinching. Her reign was over. The fallout was swift. The HOA ousted Marla unanimously, June stepping up as interim chair. Police charged her with vandalism and reckless endangerment. Julian's agency tacked on felony interference with emergency systems. A local news crew descended, filming the wreckage and interviewing shell-shocked residents. "We were sitting ducks, Mr. Hensley told them, voice cracking. I spoke last. She cut us off in a crisis. The state's investigating. There'll be consequences." The headline screamed, HOA tyrant sabotages Wi-Fi amid hurricane threat. Repairs cost thousands, draining HOA reserves. Marla's trial loomed as Evy Denke piled up witnesses, photos, Julian's testimony on communications life or death roll. She claimed it was a mistake, but the jury didn't buy it. Guilty on all counts. The judge hit her with fines, restitution, and a suspended sentence jail if she slipped up again. She sold her house and faded away, a pariah. Crestwood Hollow healed. The Wi-Fi roared back, upgraded and secure. June's leadership fostered trust, no more petty edicts, just practical fixes like a tech committee to balance usage. We held a preparedness fair with Julian's team, turning our ordeal into a lesson for others. Kids played, neighbors bonded, and I felt a quiet pride. Marla's sabotage had tested us, but we'd emerged stronger, proof that no tyrant could sever a community spirit. If you were the one in this story, how would you react? Would you stand up and fight back, or accept the unreasonable pressure and control from the HOA? Share your thoughts in the comments below. And don't forget to subscribe, like, and share this video with more people. Your small action gives us the motivation to keep bringing you more intense and engaging stories. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.